everybody. Benavidez stops Andrade. Could he do the same to Canelo? Andrade, where does he go from here? Charlo and Jose Benavidez Jr. recap. Katie Taylor victorious over Cameron, but will we see the rubber rematch? Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte. All this and more coming up on Tough Talk Tuesday.
This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
All right, welcome to Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me is Rob and Sakura A. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
What it do?
Pleasure having you on the show as always. All right, let's talk women first, because I've been known, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been known to wait too long, and then sometimes we don't talk about the women. So let's start off with the women. Katie Taylor victorious over Cameron. Will we see the rubber match? How great of a rematch was it? And did you guys even have her winning? I've heard some people did not. So I would like to hear your thoughts.
First of all, I told y'all so. I told y'all so. I told y'all Katie Taylor would win that fight.
That's very true. I did not think that I just knew Cameron had her number, which, actually that still is the truth. But I would rather been Katie in that fight, to be honest with you. I'm feeling like she had to hustle and she knew that she wanted the victory. You could tell just from her intense nature before the fight in the locker rooms when they showed the preview. You could tell she meant business. That loss was on her mind for those 6 months. So as soon as I saw that, I said, "Uh-oh, I might have did the wrong prediction." Fight hadn't even started yet. But yeah, I mean, there's some people that believe that the knockdown was a knockdown. But when you look at the video, you do actually see that Katie's foot was stepped on by Cameron. So that's probably the 10-8 round that they're calculating into that. And then some people were saying that Katie was getting dirty. I didn't see her intentionally doing anything dirty in that fight. It was messy and it was a grinding type of fight, and she was there for it. She gave us what we all wanted, which is to see that hunger and that drive that oftentimes disappears the bigger a star gets. So she showed us that she still had that hunger to win, and I definitely enjoyed that fight so much.
Yeah, no, she made it ugly, but at no time was it dirty. Not for me anyway.
Yeah.
Look, Katie Taylor is the definition of what you want a fighter to be, both male and female. She's a true definition of a fighter. Everything could have been stacked against her again because she's still fighting in Ireland, so she's still at home. She's still the big star in the sport. A lot of people felt that she was going to win the first fight, let alone the rematch. So they still were kind of writing Cameron off as well. And then, as Shakur stated, some people believed Cameron had her number. She did have a tough loss that has been stewing on her mind for the last 6 months. She could have overtrained. She could have let it get to her head too much. She didn't. She went out there and fought. And as far as dirty tactics go, it's not dirty. This is boxing. It's fighting. It's a sport. It's made to be fun. But whatever tricks you can pull out, you got to give it to Katie Taylor because she pulled it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a fan-friendly fight. And we just talking about, we had a lot of great matchups this year, but who lived up to the hype? That was my question today. Like, who actually gave us a competitive fight? And for me, it was the two Cameron versus Taylor fights.
It's true.
I mean, they beat out the men again.
I mean, you
Because
can't really
I just
argue. Yeah.
I saw the competitiveness that I've been missing in some of these, male boxing matchups recently. No fault of their own. I'm just saying the women are outworking them, outclassing them, out banging them, you
No,
know, out
I,
skilling them. Like they just showing all types of different looks in like one matchup.
no,
It's
I,
kind of hard to even argue.
yeah. I mean, I agree. Right now, I'd say the women are going to win fight of the year again. I mean, we've had big signings, which I do appreciate. We're getting these big fights, but then we're being let down. Now, of course, I'm talking about what Tank Garcia. That was already lopsided for us. So I really don't know why a lot of people wanted it. I guess it just had a big star power. But to be honest, I think 90% of people probably pick Tank to win that fight. Um, Garcia does have some blatant flaws. The one that we didn't expect to be so one-sided, of course, though, was Crawford Spence. That one was completely lopsided. So as far as the fights are concerned, I got to agree. You got to give it back to the women. But I do want to ask both of you. Now, of course, we already saw the rematch with Cameron Taylor. Now, I want to get to the fact that are we going to see the rubber match? But I also want to say, why did we get a rematch for this before we got Taylor Serrano?
Serrano,
Which is arguably a bigger fight and better fight.
that's why. That's why there wasn't an immediate rematch to that one, because there's a lot at stake for that one. And to be honest with you, I wanted to see Serrano come back from that. I wanted to see Katie Taylor come back from a loss. So I think, to me, that makes the rematch between them two the biggest fight, period, right now. Male or female, that's the biggest fight in boxing, especially considering what we've seen from both. As far
Yeah,
as
it would be epic. It would definitely be epic. But I don't know. I for some reason I think they wanted to go ahead and have Katie be able to solidify this two division world championship undisputed, to go along with the elite men that have that status now. So I think that they were, trying to make sure that happened. And then I think a fight like Serrano and Taylor had, it was damaging. Like point blank, that was a damaging fight. And one boxer got hurt a lot more seemingly than the other. So I think that was also a concern, whether they're saying that or not. But that's neither here or there, because now these two matchups, these two fights, and the Cameron Taylor matchup have earned their place to have a trilogy at this point. They got to win a piece. They both look good in there in this fight. Katie was more competitive in this fight, because the first one for me, it looked like it to me, it was like dominant rounds by Cameron.
Mhm.
But this one here was like an even fair type matchup, which really it was on the verge of being a pick 'em fight. Who you actually, what you like more. But yeah, they deserve to have their trilogy in Ireland for the fans, for Katie, for her dad, for all that. And also shout out to Matchroom Boxing for making that happen.
Yeah, listen, I agree they deserve a rubber match. I want to see Serrano next. I don't want to risk it anymore. Seeing them keep defending these other fights. They've done that. Serrano went on and became victorious and defended her world championship. Katie Taylor defended a loss and got back her titles. So let's see champion versus champion again when they're both still very hungry and both capable of winning that fight.
I agree.
Lucas, you guys brought up a point I got to get into, because I was at that presser for Serrano. the post presser, she was saying, no, we're not doing 3-minute 12 rounds to go back and do 2-minute 10 rounds. And she made that clear that she felt and her team feels that she's the top of the heap, and that whoever wants to fight her, whether it's Alicia Baumgardner or Katie Taylor, whoever it is, they will have to mandatorily want to fight 3-minute 12 rounds. So this is going to be, I feel like that's going to be a major point of contention in negotiations for those two ladies. And also, before Lucas, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
And also, just the fact, I understand what Serrano was saying. Like, you're not trying to break a pattern in boxing for women just to go back to fighting, the regular 2-minute rounds. I think that is a valid point that she wants to make.
I think, the sport needs to change. I don't think there's any reason to go back. But also, like Rob was saying, I can't choose which fight I want Katie Taylor to go with. Do I want to see Serrano? Do I want to see Cameron? I'm kind of at a loss here, especially what comes first, because, a hard fight could dictate the next fight. So, Serrano's been through some tough matches. I mean, another one can do a lot more damage, and then we don't get to see, her best going into the other one. But
now going back to that real quick, Shakura, that would ultimately favor Serrano based off of the first fight. Because remember, Katie Taylor was almost out of there. Given another minute in one of those 2 rounds that she was being attacked, she might have got put out.
I mean, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? I mean,
right.
Serrano knows that. Her team knows that. And, apparently that was an offer that was actually brought or presented to both camps in that fight with Taylor and Serrano. So, yeah, Katie's probably not feeling like I want to do 2 minutes and 12 rounds instead of 10. She might not be feeling like that's a great choice for her, but it's also a reason why it would be a great ending to her career. Whether she won or lost, she made history. So, lots of things to dissect with the women right now.
For sure. Let's start dissecting some of the men. We had this betting line this past weekend. Rob, while you're watching this fight, you had to have thinking, man, I almost should have took that plus 550 at multiple moments in that fight. Charlo came in heavy, but Jose Benavidez really held his own for the most case, right?
Yeah, but I thought he would have did more. I honestly thought he should have attacked him more because Charlo was rusty. I actually liked, though, and I think he was a little thrown off. Benavidez was thrown off by Charlo's patience.
Mm-hmm.
Charlo had a lot of patience in there, and it wasn't scared tactics or nothing like that. He was just being very, very patient, which tells me that even though he had the layoff, he's still very much comfortable in being in the ring. And that, to me, was very important to see because I felt like he was going to be more panicked and more gun shy and not willing to engage. And it wasn't the fact. He was just patient and picked his shots and came through when he needed to. Benavidez, you got to give credit to because as the smaller fighter and the smaller name, so to speak, you got to come in there hungry. I just felt like he should have been much, much more hungrier in that fight. And some of that could have been Charlo because those shots hurt. We're not in the ring facing those punches like he is, and they definitely look like they hurt. And again, Charlo being so patient and not panicking and not showing, a real big issue with the rust where he was panicking in there or anything like that. The patience and the heavier punches is what weighed Benavidez Jr. down. So yeah.
CJ wants to know what's next for Charlo. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I definitely saw a frustrated Charlo. Maybe he didn't, he was patient with it, but he was still frustrated that entire time. He was frustrated that he couldn't do anything with Benavidez. He was just frustrated with himself, all of it. He didn't make weight. He didn't look the best. Is he in the right path? Is he going to be able to continue? Is he going to have to take more time off? Because I'm not sure what's next. I honestly can't say.
No time off. No, that's the opposite of what this fight was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about him getting back active, getting back lamented to the boxing lifestyle, right? And getting him back on track. So he definitely doesn't need more time off. And I don't feel like he was completely out of shape either, guys. It was this big thing about whether was he really in shape or was he really not in shape. I mean, to me, it looked like he had no problems going through those 10 rounds. I didn't see that. Only thing I saw was that his strength, his strength conditioning part might not have been completely to par because we didn't get that knockout that we thought. Which that could also be just because Jose Benavidez, is just that tough too. He gets sparring with heavier guys all the time, including his brother. So it means that he can take a good shot. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a good thing to be able to do when you're really not that particular size or division. And that's that's the question there, whether hard sparring, then going into a fight with a definitely bigger boxer in general, not just in this fight, if that causes you to have some severe issues when you get older. I mean, and we all probably know the answer to that. But still, Jose Benavidez proved to be the type of opponent that Charlo really needed.
I mean, it was definitely a step in the right direction, but I think that's why he was chosen. I honestly do. I think that's why they went in their direction with Jose Benavidez. I think, they mistaken him as a safer bet than even what they had assumed. I think he gave a harder fight than what they had hoped for. I think they were, planning on getting Benavidez out of there. They saw, that he got stopped by Crawford, and they were thinking, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and I'm not even going to make weight, so I'm going to be able to get him the hell out of there. I'm going to weight bully his ass out of the ring, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was telling you, you got to give Jose his props because he wasn't trying to, right there on the 12th round, there was a moment where I was a little pissed that the action was stopped because I thought that was a moment where Charlo was about to possibly get him out of there, even though it was the 12th round. So I know some guys that betted was really pissed at Doc for separating the action. So that's one thing, but Charlo is on the right track, and I really wasn't as sympathetic as I think I ended up being after hearing his post-fight interview. Where he said every round he was thinking about, those 2 years and everything that he had been through. We all go through that. Should we stop? Should we, F it days? His lasted a little bit longer than most, but it also didn't last as long as some. So it's a situation where boxers are they are showing that there's a different part of their life and their lifestyle that can be very damaging to your career. It really shows how strong of a person you really are, whether or not you're able to pick yourself back up and get back in the ring.
For sure.
And Shakira said it best. I couldn't say it any better than that. Everything that she said is absolutely correct, and I agree with. Charlo, you don't want to cut people slack, but given his situation, you kind of have to, especially with how far down he came and now appears to be going forward. So to answer the question, what's next for Charlo is exactly what Shakira said again. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Because guess what? He's probably also fighting his own demons in there too. So he's going to need to keep fighting both.
But from what you guys saw, is he actually ready for a fight? Fight. We're not talking a step up anymore. We're not talking a tune up. We're talking a real fight. Is he ready for that?
So
because as far as I'm concerned, no disrespect to Jose Benavidez Jr. I give you all the props, especially for this fight. I think he's better suited for definitely a weight class under or two. He is not made for how big he has blown up.
Weight classes don't matter, but anyway,
we'll talk about that.
That's another story. Listen, another thing that he bought out though. Now that's an interesting question, what you just said, and Shakira, I'd love to hear your take on this. But also in that after fight conference interview in the ring, he mentioned and thanked the WBC for letting him hold on to that damn title. So
he better.
Should he, the real question in my opinion is, should he be allowed to return and keep fighting stepping stones, or should he at least be forced to fight mandatories?
No, we're talking a champion. We're talking a champion. All right. You got to defend. You can't have tune-ups. You can't have people that aren't ranked, let alone aren't ranked in like the top 50. Like that shouldn't even be a thing. You shouldn't be able to get that. You shouldn't even get a what do they call that? Not a mandatory, but your voluntary defenses. You shouldn't even get to do that. But that's just me. You wanna go down and you want to bring somebody that's 2 weight classes up to fight you. I think that, and I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying in general, nobody should be allowed to do that. If you're gonna do that, you don't defend our belt. That's not what a champion does. That's come on, you're better than that. That's what I would say. But that's just me. I don't know. People want to see big fights, so that's what happens. Is they bring these names from lower classes, they come up, they fight them. But WBC, not surprising that they would just allow somebody to keep the title because they're worth money. Let that title be held by somebody who's not very popular with a very small fan base. I bet you they strip their ass. It's about money. That's all this is.
I feel like it is more beneficial if you have somebody like Jermall Charlo as a belt holder. Yeah, I mean there's no debate about that. The point is for me is I'm trying to figure out what, and I'm not trying to be funny, but who is the middleweight? I don't know of anybody that is on that level that he was on when he had his mishaps. I don't know of anybody. We got, I think his name is Akhmadov, that Top Rank is pushing, as a middleweight, and he has some titles. I think he has a IBF title, if I'm not mistaken, or a WBA. But that WBC has remained in that PBC staple for numerous years. So first you got to fight that promoter thing where they like to keep a belt in-house. No, he doesn't have a WBA because the guy that has the middleweight WBA is fighting this weekend, Ian Green. He is on the Don King show that's down in Miami this weekend. So it has to be the IBF that he is working with, Akhmadov. But my thing is that in order for me to be pissed about it as a fan, like you got to give me somebody that's like really earned that spot besides him. And I'm coming up at a mismatch here. I'm not coming up. It's not like the small. Well, I can't even call him the small Charlo now. It's not like Jermall Charlo at 154 holding on to titles when he has a clear cut Tim Tszyu straggling on his ass. You know what I'm saying? A fight that was scheduled and then not scheduled because of an injury that then led to a Canelo fight. You know, like you talking about some real like dipping and dodging there. Not because Charlo thinks he can't beat him. Let me make that clear. But I mean, for me, I'm like, well, who is it dipping? Who is it that, you know, Jermall Charlo would be actually dipping and diving from at middleweight? And I don't think that factor is there. You know, and sometimes it is good to stand by a fighter if they are having mental illness, or whatever, you know, family issues or what have you. Sometimes it is better to, you know, financially do it, but also the whole being supportive situation. If there was somebody that definitely needed to fight Ahmadov for that belt that we really, really were excited about, right now what I've seen is more middleweights dropping titles and vacating them to go to 168 to compete in the same division as Canelo, right? For the Canelo cash. So I don't think that it's a real true issue in this division. But you know, if it's an active division like 140 is right now, or you know, another division where it's like highly active and everybody's considered a top prize fighter, now we got an issue. Now I don't, you know, now I'm not as now I'm upset about it. But in this case, I really can't come up with, you know, we got Andrade that dropped his belt, Triple G just dropped his belt. Like you just got a bunch of middleweights that went up to 168 right now.
Yeah, I mean, no denying, but any middleweight though, that belt needs to be available for. I'm sorry, Charlo, that you're having your problems, but you can't just leave and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna come back. I'm still a champ." No, that shouldn't happen. I'm sorry. Like if you have a champion in recess, I want to know what's an acceptable recess, because how long are we talking here for Charlo? When was his last fight?
I mean, it was, what was it, 18 months?
It was 2 years. It was 2 years.
That's not recess, okay? He's gone. He's gone. I mean, at 2 years,
it's not like he planned it to be gone, though, Lucas. I mean, it's not like he was like, oh, you know what? Let me take 2 years off and blow my money and, you know, act stupid.
But that's not the rest of the fighter's problem either.
You know
you have to make that title available.
I'm just saying, it's not like a planned situation. I mean, I would have, if they, now WBC with the champion at recess, I would have been fine with that title for Charlo as well. Like, I don't know why that wasn't a maneuver that was used. Probably because he kept saying he was coming back, and then there would be like another situation where he wasn't able to. But you know, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I definitely understand what you're saying, Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just hold that belt hostage. I mean, and the WBC allowed it. I mean, there's fighters that are fighting consistently and trying to earn that. You know what I mean? And you just hold on to it for 2 years, and they allowed it. It I don't know, the whole thing,
because the division is scarce.
So I believe.
There's still someone. I don't care how scarce. There is someone who earned a shot, but they don't have a fan base.
You got to earn your way up to that real bet. You know, that WBC World Champion title. I mean, yeah. That's not what we would have had.
There's even other champions.
Some guys that would have had a WBC Intercontinental or.
But there's other champions that
one of these other champions. I'm just being real about it. Like, that's how I see it.
So I agree with both of y'all points, but I'm sorry, Shakura, I have to agree with Lucas on this topic, because you're not seeing the names because they're not allowed to get the name out there when you hold a belt hostage for 2 years. Those guys, you know, somebody
saying that, so I'm not upset with either one of y'all for thinking that way. But I'm just saying,
and I agree with your
I don't see this as that situation. Like, I mean, I just told you who Ian Green was. Like, nobody even knows that. I know, but nobody knows Ian Green, and he has a WBA middleweight championship belt, but he just had a tough fight previously with my man Danny Santiago's fighter, Alex
Right.
Castro, and now that fight was seen as Ian Green. He ended up getting the judges' split decision win when most people think that Alex Castro won. So here it is now. He's fighting someone else. I think he's fighting Alexander's brother out of St. Louis.
Mm.
That's who I think it is. So you see what I'm saying? Like there's levels. It's like a lot of it's a gap in there from where you would be actually contending for a WBC World Championship title. But they could do the interims, you know what I'm saying? That's what the WBC interim is about. However, I do think that his next fight definitely needs to be at 160 if he wants to continue to retain the status.
I mean, yeah, not to mention he comes back and he doesn't even make the weight. But you're looking at even the WBC rankings. They have Golovkin. They got a name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. Eubank Jr. There are other people there. You know what I mean? You're basically just disrespecting your other top 10. That's the way I look at it. But that's just me. Let's move on. I mean, we could probably.
Did I get the guy's name right? Because I don't want to mess up the other champion.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Akhmedov. I'm not sure if you meant the Yanibek Aliman. I'm gonna butcher the shit out of that. Amin Kanuli.
Yeah,
I call him Yanibek because that's easier to pronounce. But he's Kazakh.
It's so difficult.
Yanibek is a monster, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yanibek is a
him,
monster.
yeah.
That dude needs title too.
Janibek, they call him Janibek. Yes, I'm so sorry for butchering your name, sir. But
he is a monster.
It won't be the last time either. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I respect your skill. I'm sorry, I got your name all wrong, Janibek. Sorry.
All right. I won a little bit of money. I'm not going to lie. I did bet on Benavidez this weekend. Not a lot. I just bet a few bucks. Got my return back. Benavidez does stop Andrade. Could he do the same to Canelo? We're going to discuss that. First, let's talk a little bit about the performance. Early on, were we worried that maybe Benavidez's prediction of all of ours was not going to go as planned? Because it did appear those first 2 or 3 rounds that even Andrade was the bullied him around that ring for the first 2-3 rounds. And then slowly Benavidez started to basically just walk through him like a tank. Andrade had nothing to fight him off with. That was our fear. I know we talked about that last week. It was our fear that he wasn't going to be able to get his respect, and that maybe Andrade does punch a little light. And that appeared to be the case.
I mean, the whole division is punching a little light when it comes to Benavidez, aka the monster, right? You know what? Let me just listen. How can I put this? He did what he was supposed to do, and that's about all I can say about that matchup. Without
Sakura's translation was, "I'm not that impressed." That's what I heard.
Yeah, if you're
that's not what you said. That's what I heard.
Yeah, say it.
Shout out to Rosalind, First Lady Rosalind Carter, because I just had a lesson with how she would like really be saying something derogatory but make it sound positive.
I got you.
Yes, rest in heaven. What a humanitarian.
That yes, her funeral was today here in Atlanta. Traffic was backed up pretty bad. But Shakura, okay, understand that. But I'm gonna put you on the spot though. Tell us how you really feel and why.
How you gonna put me on the spot? I mean, you already told me how you feel about divisions. So, you saying it don't matter. And I'm fiercely on the other side of that, where I feel like they are weight classes for a reason. And even when they try to correct that issue in heavyweights, we get massive pushback on it. So
well, there's a reason for that. we can definitely
understand your
discuss.
reasoning because you just think there's too many belts. I mean, divisions or whatever.
There
But
is,
the reality
but we'll get
is,
into that.
nobody should be fighting another opponent when there's 60 and 70 pounds difference between them. You know,
Okay.
that's safety. That's fighter safety all day. And the thing of it is that happens at heavyweights, right? It's allowed because they're, it's heavyweights, 200 and up until they was bridgerweights. But the public is having a problem accepting that bridgerweights is actually not a bad idea when we're talking about protecting our boxers.
We're gonna talk about
I'm
that.
not trying to get into that. All I'm saying for Benavidez to be Andrade, to me, well, neither one of them are really super middleweights to me, honestly. So I mean, I don't really have anything else to contribute.
Okay, Sakura's being nice tonight because again, I'm gonna translate for Sakura. Okay,
you speak Sakura? You speak
Sakura? Demetrius belongs 2 weight classes down. Okay, now Benavidez, he belongs 2 weight classes up. But that's what she's saying. Okay,
did they both make the weight?
It don't matter. Look,
did they both make the weight?
It don't
did
matter.
they both make the weight? So then who belongs in what weight class? They both made the weight. They both make the weight. Anyway.
Yeah, but the night of the fight is when they're fighting. The whole purpose, when weights were established, they were doing same day weigh-ins. So you couldn't get but so much heavier than what you weighed in.
And they need to go back to that. They really do.
We can get into some of that.
But let's.
I'm just saying, making weight ain't getting it for me. It's about how much you weigh when you put the force and the torque on them punches in the ring the night after. So F that. I ain't trying to hear that.
Put Ralphie's comment back up. And going based off of what you said, also, Lucas.
I mean,
Andre, the man, the man held his own early on in the fight.
Was designed.
The man held his own early on in the fight. You know why he did that? Because speed also kills. He was hitting him with 2 and 3 shots before Benavidez landed 1. Earlier in the fight.
That is not why he succeeded early in the fight.
That is too why he succeeded early. His hand speed was on point.
He always is a late starter, and he'll just sit there and tour with you the same way Canelo does.
So what we're talking about is
they're not even really engaging you. They know that you're not gonna hurt them. So it's just like a warming up period for them. Like, okay, let me.
So what we're talking about is Benavidez, right?
Whatever. And then when they decide to get you out, then that's when you're out.
So give credit to where it should be due. Give credit to Benavidez for being able to do that.
The credit is that, yes, Andrade is the better skilled boxer that was in the ring that night. However,
is he?
Skills don't always pay that bill. You know what I'm saying? Like people say skills pay the bills, but sometimes just pure power, bruteness, and being a weight bully can do it for you.
The Charlo says skills pay the bills. That was one of their monikers. But is he really that skilled? No, we questioned Andre coming into this fight just how skilled he is. At any division or any weight class he was in, he never fought the best. At any weight class he was in. So now Saturday night he gets himself involved in the monster and he's able to look good for a couple of rounds. That's it. Give Benavidez the actual credit he deserves.
Give Andrade the credit because he lasted them, because he looked good a few rounds.
Look, I'm gonna say this like Rob. I told you. I almost called it, right? I mean, under 6, it happened in 6. I'm gonna take credit for that anyway.
Yes, Lucas, that was your prediction.
Look, so you're trying to give people credit, but I'm gonna take credit away from both of them, right? Andrade's he's punching up, and honestly, he's just as much avoided as he was avoiding. He was holding out for a money fight, and we're about to discuss his future in the sport, but he was holding out. Now, you can be as fast as you want to be. When you're fighting a tall brick wall, you're just punching yourself to death. It don't fucking matter, right? That's what happened. All right, he's punching a weight bully. He's just out there wearing himself tired. It didn't matter. Ralphie says Benavidez' body punch and jabs impressed me a lot. It was low key, I think. Benavidez' speed, I think, is very
underrated.
Yes, I mean
very
it's
underrated.
It's
he comes off as like a big guy who would throw slow, and I think for Benavidez' size, he's very quick. I mean, considering. And he was able to finally start landing some shots. What was good for Andrade early was honestly his head movement, his defense. He was dodging a lot of those shots coming in, but eventually he got caught. Right? He can outbox Benavidez.
Right in there now. He wasn't scared of him.
He could do it, but he can't do it for 12 rounds. And I knew he wasn't going to be able to do it for 12 rounds. And once he started feeling them, Benavidez is just too damn big. All right. And we're going to get to the big part. I know, Rob. Okay. We're going to get to that after this. But weight is something to be discussed.
He did what he was supposed to do. Like, I'm like not on this Benavidez hype train right now. Like, y'all boxing fans, Ralphie, I'm sorry. He may be the next star in boxing for Mexicans. I understand that. But that does not, like, we listen. It's not like he's like, superior in all areas, like well-rounded boxer to me. And you guys are giving him credit for beating up on boxers that are way smaller than him. Like, come on now.
They've been giving Canelo credit for doing that for years. And
I ain't giving credit for that, though. I ain't giving credit for it.
And do you know why? Because the weight doesn't fucking matter.
Oh, but
pardon my French.
To whom? It doesn't matter for the business.
Matter. There are too many divisions.
It matters.
There are too many divisions out there. And why do I say that? Because Andrade was who we thought he was, but he had a chance or potential to be better. Because like Ralphie said, and I thought so too, Ralphie, he should have lasted longer. He should have been able to put on more pressure. He should have been able to withstand some of the stuff that Benavidez was doing longer. But most importantly, he should have just went out there and played a better game plan and took it to the man instead of sitting there, let him be patient and pick off shots to the body and to the head.
A different fight, Lucas. How about you? I don't know where he's coming from with this. He was in his face, like, and he was taking risks. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, Rob.
I mean,
so where was
when you got that kind of like Lucas is saying, that brick wall you hitting? What kind of respect can I make a boxer give me when I'm hitting a big a brick wall? Like, come on, let's be real. Let's not act like this man is in there fighting a light heavyweight or even a cruiserweight, which is what he really is. I on the night of the fights. Like, let's stop this. Stop it. Just
you gonna make me pull up the compy box numbers because I'm willing to bet he stopped throwing shots.
When he get in there and he fights somebody later rounds, damn it, I will give him all the freaking respect there is in this game to give. But I ain't seen it yet. And I feel like it's gonna be a long time before I do see it because he's just like everybody else chasing this Canelo check.
But you can't talk about the later rounds because there was no goddamn later rounds, okay? He got dropped in 4 and then 5 and 6. So you got 4, right? At 4, once you get dropped, usually you stop punching as much. 5, you're going to be fighting scared. And of course, 6, he was out of there. So, let's talk a little bit more, though, about first the winner, okay? We're going to talk about the weight right after this. It needs to be discussed because it's all boiling over. but let's talk about the winner first. Let's talk about Benavidez, where he's going to go. And as I proposed the question earlier, please, could he do the same to Canelo? I mean, that's obviously left to be said. However, I would love to see Benavidez Canelo because let's face it, and you all know I've been saying it for years, Canelo's been where Benavidez is. He is constantly doing what Benavidez is doing now. He's being the weight bully. He's benefited from it his entire career. And now he's not willing to do it. You know why? Because I don't think he'll fight Benavidez. I really don't. I will be pleasantly surprised if the Benavidez fight happens. But can he do the same to Canelo? Canelo's a lot more skilled than an Andrade. So I can't say for sure. But I do think eventually we will get to that same result. Maybe he might not be stopped, but we all know you basically have to win every fucking round against Canelo to get a victory, right? So he has to either stop him. He cannot let Canelo do what Andrade did in the first 3 or 4 rounds, or Canelo wins. So no, I don't think he can do the exact same, but I think it's possible for Benavidez to come away with a victory. That one's about a 50-50 fight as I can get.
Yeah, I am one of those super suspicious people too that don't believe that fight is gonna happen. But just to say that, I'm much more intrigued by a possible Morrell Jr. fight with Benavidez still. I feel like if Morrell Jr. does well in his fight coming up, what is it, in a couple of weeks, the 23rd of December, I feel like maybe he could get like a Caleb Plant fight going, or, and test his skills against that level of fighter. And then if he gets through that test, I'd like to see him and Benavidez get it on, because I feel like Morrell is a more well-rounded boxer so far that we could see, because he has power, he has Cuban pedigree, but he's also not afraid to take risk in his fight, to get his man out. So I do like the way that he looks so far. And to me, that's much more intriguing of a fight. And because he's this similar size also, by the way. I'm more interested in that fight with Benavidez versus a Canelo Benavidez fight. In that particular situation, I think if, it's hard to hurt Canelo. That, like, he has a great chin. People can say whatever they say about how he ain't this and he ain't that, but he got a goat-like chin. Nobody can deny that. So I don't know if Benavidez will be able to hurt him the way he needs to get a fight stopped. And if it goes to a decision, you guys already know whose card it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost the whole point.
I disagree with that. Canelo is now on PBC. He's at the mercy of PBC now. He shouldn't be getting gifted decisions, especially against guys that are heavily promoted like Benavidez.
Well,
that being said,
heavily promote Benavidez all you want, but if you look at the fan bases, they're nowhere close. They're not even a third. They're not a fourth. They're probably not even a sixth. I mean, we're talking about Canelo, who is the meal ticket. I mean, he is the guy.
It's like they're more interested in making their business profit than they are boosting Benavidez. But it will help his profile if that fight does happen. I just, like I said, I'm just very tentative about that. I don't feel like that's a fight that has to happen, because he only got 2 more fights with PBC. And there's plenty of 168ers that could be. I'm sure it wasn't in the contract. You have to fight Benavidez as one of these fights. So
if they were smart, they would have. If they were smart, they would have put that in there.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's one of them situations where he has to, as long as he gives them, he already knows that they're going to be more competitive fights than what he was getting previously. So he knows they're going to be more competitive, but it doesn't have to be necessarily Benavidez.
So as far as he said, Caleb Plant said Canelo is a lot stronger and David is faster, but Canelo does have a rock chin, and David has been dropped before by a lesser puncher. And you're right, Ralphie, but that's not where they're at right now. I think David is really starting to hit his stride and his prime. Now, with that being said about the popularity contest, yes, Canelo has been in stadiums selling out for 60,000, 40,000. Yes, he's been there. Benavidez had 17, almost 18,000 strong in this last fight. He's on the come up there as well. People are going to start to demand this fight, especially as we get more and more later on with these guys. Benavidez had a hell of a year. He's had his coming out this year with both destruction victories against Caleb Plant and now Andrade, which are two notable names well within his rights. So those are two notable names to me as far as them two colliding, him versus Canelo. They're on a collision course. They should be. That's going to be two trains going at it, colliding on the train track, so to speak. Because I don't see that one ending in anything but KO because of how confident Benavidez is in the fact that he can beat Canelo, and Canelo still thinks he can beat everyone that he faces. The difference, Lucas said, Canelo is more smarter than people give him credit for. His boxing IQ. I think he has a much wider boxing IQ right now than Benavidez does.
Right.
Smart enough to not take the fight.
But well, that's an afterthought at this point because if the one thing about Canelo, if the fans do demand it, he will put it on. He will put it on. He proved that when he fought, damn it, my man Lara. He did it when he fought Lara when he didn't want to, and the fans demanded that fight. He's done it before in his career. I even think he wanted to take a stab at Charlo for the fans. He just didn't get the right Charlo. The other Charlo was tainted, and that fight fell to the wayside, unfortunately. But
I'll give him credit for Bivol, but that's about it. And that fight is the fight that he lost. So I can't say a lot else. I think he's been pretty safe with some of his choices. And the ones that he hasn't been, like you're discussing with Golovkin, with Lara, with Bivol, I think he's lost every single time that he's tried to do that. I will give him credit for facing Lara, for facing Golovkin and facing him, but he was forced to, and he did try to wait out Golovkin. I mean, he legit vacated the belt to not fight Golovkin. So therefore, I'm not buying all of that. But we're not talking about Canelo, okay? That's a different show, different day. This is not his time for shine. We were talking about Benavidez. I think right now he's unstoppable. I really don't know who he's going to be facing next. I really hope we get some news soon about who he's got on the docket. But as far as Andrade, Demetrius, where does he go from here? Because I've asked around, from what I'm getting from the boxing community, he's a gatekeeper now. He's done. Will he get another big fight? 1. 2, is he going to stay at this weight? Because I think that's a fucking terrible idea. Just terrible. It should not. He needs to try to go down if he can. But from what he said after the fight, it does make it sound like Demetrius plans on staying at this weight. He thinks he's already kind of made his muscle up for this weight class. It's not all water weight. So, guys, can he get a marquee win? That's basically what I was asking a lot of boxing heads lately. And from what I get, the answer is a clear no.
I can't say you got to put him as a gatekeeper yet. Again, his biggest issue is he hasn't fought anybody. Period. He hasn't fought any names in his prospective divisions before even coming up here to face a Benavidez.
That's my point exactly. Though.
So I want to see him in those fights. I want to see him fight Plant. I want to see him fight Charlo. I want to see him take those types of fights and see what he can do. Now, of course, they're gonna be stepping stone. They're gonna be stepping stones in place, so to speak. You know, you gotta win this fight to get to this guy, to get to there are levels he's gonna have to go through. But I think he should be allowed the opportunity to do that.
Okay, no, I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed the opportunity. What I asked you was, can he get a marquee win? Is there a big name that you guys believe he can get a win against? Because I don't.
I think
I looked
Plant
at
would
the, I
be a
looked at
great
the
fight.
division. I think Plant wins. I think
I
Plant
think
already fought Benavidez, did a better job at doing it, and he would handle Andrade without a problem.
he
I
survived
honestly
longer. Yeah, he survived longer.
survived
That's
longer.
it.
No, he was.
That's all you can
I
give him
mean,
credit for.
the fight was a hell of a lot closer. What are you talking about? He won half the fight. Meanwhile, we got Demetrius didn't even last half a fight. I mean, that's how this fight went. So no, I can't say that he could even fight a Plant and come out victorious. What name can you give me that makes me think that this man isn't a gatekeeper? Because if you can give me one, I'll say, hey, you're right. I'll fold. I'll submit.
I mean, I still don't know where he's at in that division, but it would help if he fought somebody that actually was at that division.
It would.
I mean,
We got,
so to me, he's not a gatekeeper yet. No, because we've only seen him fight at 168. You know, with a notable name that
Twice.
is someone that
Uh,
is, the monster who is an outlier type of fighter for that division. So we need to really see him against some fighters that are around the same size as him in order to see what skill level we're talking about. But if he does decide to move back down, now he's at 160. Now we're talking Charlo. So he has options. I believe that he's stretching his weight, trying to be at 168. I feel like he's stretching it, trying to, fit in and get those signature fights for paydays. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's a path that he needs to continue on, or if he does need to drop back down right away. So I need to see him in at least one more good prime fight, with another prize fighter who actually fits in that weight class standard, of, fight night being around 10 to 15 pounds heavier, and not, 20, 35 pounds heavier. I really need to see that. So I'm not going to count Andrade out yet. I just feel like we haven't been able to see him with someone that matches up competitively yet.
but we haven't seen
Because that fight, Benavidez, that was like a clear-cut win for me, like for Benavidez. Like I didn't see any way he was going to overcome the size difference.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with Andrade, that we haven't seen it his entire career. He never got really a decent measuring stick, and you're talking about somebody who's already 35, right? With again no really marquee win. I guess you could say Jason Quigley is his marquee win right now. But other than that, you also usually see good fighters at their smallest and youngest really show what they're capable of, right? You see it with Cotto, you see it with all the greats. You've seen them actually build upon what they have already done. The problem is he doesn't have an established work to even say this is what he's capable of. I mean, I don't like know.
Here's my thing is like, I'm not going to put it all the blame on Andrade.
I didn't put it all, but yeah.
The reason why is because he's had some bad management that led to that first Charlo fight being called off. Then he gets out of that contract. He goes and gets into another one that doesn't garner what we all thought it would, because none of the middleweights that were signed up to that particular distribution company fought each other. So I don't know what was going on there, because there was plenty of middleweights in the same house at the same time, but no matchups were ever created. And then you have where he's at now, where he's like, damn, I can't, I can't keep going through this at this point in my career. I'm losing years. So now we have it where he's at PBC, where he knows they're going to throw me in with some people. And now it's up to me to make it count or not. So I like the odds that he has with here as far as being able to get some matchups that's necessary for him to establish a career with noteworthy names. But I don't want to blame it all on Andrade when you got, bad management and other, boxing politics involved with his career heavily. So let's just see what happens. Let's not like rake him over the coals, Lucas.
I said it was 50-50. I mean, he was half avoided, but he also half waited for Canelo. Let's not get it twisted. He chased Canelo to 168. Okay, he was hoping to get that lottery ticket. He didn't get it, and now he for sure ain't gonna get it. At least not anytime soon. He would have to have at least a couple big wins to line that kind of a fight up. And I'm not wishing the guy any ill will. I really hope he proves me wrong. I mean, I've been wanting to see him in the ring. We just weren't able to see it, and now we get this fight. And now I think he's grown too big, as you said. I hope he can go back down, and I hope he can thrive there, because I honestly don't think at 168 he can thrive.
Hey,
he needs to put himself in the best situation.
I feel like EDC is ready and willing. They will sacrifice his behind.
Oh yeah.
so he's somewhere where we gonna find out, and he gonna find out.
But
so I like that part of it.
That is kind of where I see him at, though. Like you said, though, I see him as bait now. They're gonna just throw him out there against these names. Hey, go make yourself, and we're gonna see it, right? Because that's gonna be a gatekeeper. If he can win, then he ain't that damn gatekeeper, right?
That's what I'm saying. Let's figure it out.
I'm with
judge him based on this particular fight. Is my point.
It's hard not to.
I'm with my boy Ralphie here.
How is it hard to when you done said the same thing I was saying about his opponent?
I mean, you still got to judge him last fight.
Like,
I'm with my boy
anyway. So because you knew it was a lopsided fight.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's
I'm with my boy Ralphie here, though. Okay. Y'all, I'm with my boy Ralphie here. Let's do a Super Six. Charlo, Munguia, Morrell, Andrade, and Plant. And then he says they fight each other, and the winner gets an opportunity at Canelo or David Benavidez. Man, let's just do a Super Six. Man, let's have it.
I like the option of Super Six, but I want Canelo in there too. Like, let's make it uber gooey and juicy, and like the Thanksgiving meal and the Christmas meal together. Let's get it all on top. Like, I need it all. See, I put you in there, Rob. That was just for you with your holiday, rapid fires.
Canelo won't do that, but I would be glad if he did.
But we're just talking about hypotheticals.
For sure. All right, guys, let's discuss the weight. We ain't even going to go into the rapid fire because I already know currently that's what it is. Unless you got more for us, I'm just going to talk about the weight, Rob. Is there more?
No, this is going to be a long topic.
I don't know if it's going to be that long.
It can't be a long topic. We're going to have to break this thing down into let's do.
So let me start.
First, let me
start.
Let's do the lower weight.
Let me start.
First, I'm hungry.
First, let's talk early about the weight and why it affected this fight, okay? Because we got Benavidez, Andrade, and why it was, okay? Clearly, I think he was overblown. Andrade already blew up, right? He wasn't really supposed to be 168. I think he's probably best at 154. But he blew up to 168 in hopes to get a big fight. He got one, but it wasn't the fight he thought it was going to be. He's getting, of course, Benavidez, and of course, weight matters, Rob. I don't understand where you're coming from that weight won't matter. If you're talking 10 pounds or 20 pounds, if you ask a fighter, they're going to tell you that shit matters. Okay.
Yeah, it matters as far as the stamina and and how tired you get, how much of it is muscle or not. Like all these things come into play as far as your actual performance that night in the ring. But then it also comes into play for your opponent as well and what they're facing. Whether they have power to make you respect them or not is dependent on that weight size. So, the part that I think Rob is alluding to is the fact that weights don't matter as far as matchups right now, because people are doing what the F they want to do. And they're not paying attention to these weight classes as much as they should. So, for me,
I got a question.
I just wish that they could spend like an hour or two with some of these boxers that are, CTE damaged or what you call punch drunk,
Sure.
all this stuff, and you'll start to like change your mind about exactly how much weight or how much sparring should be done before a huge fight. They were talking about in the podcast that we have besides this one, they were talking about Tony, lights out Tony, and he didn't like to train like as far as like weights and running and things like that, but he just wanted to spar multiple times a day. Sometimes hours and multiple times a week sparring whoever.
Learn by
Heavyweights.
doing.
But yeah, then he gets in the ring and he's fighting way out of his weight class towards the end of his career. And now we're seeing some of those effects. And it's like it's not even like we don't have knowledge now and can see examples of how this type of ish does affect the health of a fighter after their career. And yeah, they sign up for fights, but damn it, they families ain't signed up for the type of care that a lot of them need. And they pocket book, whatever you want to call it, it does not match up to some of the massive amount of medical bills that pile up. So I think that it's important that we keep that in mind too when we're talking about weight classes and how much weight can you or do you need to put on after you weigh in. If we're not going to have it the same day, which it looks like people are really fighting that, then we at least, people were mad because Canelo said, "Oh, I want, I want a rehydration clause for," who was it? Danny Jacobs was like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, that's cheating and this and that. And no. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, why isn't there more cash weight?
Well, because it was Canelo, though.
Yeah, like
you can't be asking for a rehydration clause. When you do that all
clauses. Yeah, because some people do take major advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to say what I really think, but that's just
but you should.
What I just gave y'all was more like a generalized.
Sakura's holding back tonight. I'm trying to come out, but she's holding back.
Because I got rebuttals. I don't know why.
Performance-wise, and for your opponent, and for your health when you get older.
Now, Rob, I got to ask you one question before you respond, okay? So you say weight doesn't matter, right? Okay. If you were laying down.
I'm saying it for a reason, though.
Okay.
I'm saying it for a reason. I'm saying, let me get it straight.
Okay, go ahead.
Weight doesn't matter in this sport because there are too many weight classes, too many divisions. But go ahead. Okay. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so what is a difference between weight classes for you that you think doesn't matter? Let's just say middleweight to
130, 130, 135, 135, 140, 140, 145.
I mean, 5
Those
pounds.
Those are 5 pounds.
5 pounds doesn't sound like a lot, though, right? Doesn't sound like a lot. If I held a 5-pound dumbbell 5 feet above your head and let it go, you don't think that's going to hurt your ass? Weight matters, okay? Look, and that weight is still used. It's used in his hands. It's used in his arm. These boxers, man, they're designed to get all of their weight behind that. 5 pounds matters, okay? You may not think so, but 5 pounds fucking matters. Now, I know we talked off air about why doesn't it matter for the heavyweights? Why can you just weigh in whatever?
Hold on, I was going to get to that, though. That was my next section of this
There's
topic.
Sections to the weight topic?
Wait a minute now.
There is. Yes, there is.
My brain is not going to be able to go through all these weight classes that you don't like, because I know it's a lot of them.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
Let's not even get started on this under 130 situation.
I need time to rebuttal, y'all. Okay. I gotta be able to rebuttal this.
All right, Steve, we'll come back to you. Rob, go ahead.
first of all, the first problem that I want to poke holes at is you're saying that weight matters in everything, okay? In the case of Andrade, because that's what you put as it pertains to this fight. How does it matter?
Mhm.
Andrade took a fight at the weight. He already had one fight in this weight class before he fought Benavidez. So he was already allowing himself time to acclimate to the weight and get accustomed to fighting at that weight class in the
Fighting
ring.
at what weight?
I don't think you're understanding.
168
He
pound
yes,
weight, right?
yes. He
Not
took a fight at
185, not 190, or whatever the hell David Benavidez weighed that night. That's what we're talking about. That's why weight matters. They haven't did rehydration clause in probably 10, maybe 15 years. What are you talking about? The IBF has to do it for every single one of their fights. The IBF
like, if you
Okay, so the IBF requires it. Okay.
rehydration clause. They
But what else?
demand
What
it.
else? I want to hear what was your
Yeah,
other.
keep
But
going.
they also haven't done same fight weigh-ins. We don't know how much he weighed in that night.
And they don't do that for
I'm not gonna argue that because I don't have that proof. I can't say he weighed 180 pounds that night.
You know what? Be
I don't
quiet
need
right
that
now.
Yeah, I don't
You
need that.
can.
You tripping.
Anybody can tell me how much he weighed that night and how you found out.
I weighed him myself. Look,
Hey,
Right. No, you
hey,
can't.
I calculated what he looked like at the weigh-in versus what he looked like the night of the fight. I know there was some pounds packed on.
Yeah,
And me as a female, we be calculating. We know when we went 10 pounds or whether it was 5 or whether we dropped 2. Like, we pay attention.
he
Well,
beat
then
jerky.
everybody don't.
Okay, he is
don't.
beef jerky. He
Well,
pours
then
water on it,
everybody
he
don't.
soaks that shit up, and he,
Well, then everybody don't approach Shakura or Lucas at your next fair with the guessing the people's weight because it sounds like they gonna win. Okay, so don't take them.
But don't you mess up and tell me how much more pounds I weigh, because this Thanksgiving week, baby.
So
don't
that's one rebuttal.
Don't you be trying to size me up right now.
That's one rebuttal. And also to mention for that same rebuttal, if you talk to nutritionists out there, you talk to doctors out there, there is a way to healthily gain and cut weight, both. There's healthier ways to do that and to get you acclimated to working out and everything under the new weight. So scientifically, there's research out there for people to do it. Guess what? These fighters don't necessarily always do it right.
They can't do it. You know why they can't do it? Because it takes 48 hours for you to gain weight and for your brain fluid to fully get back to what you had before you lost the weight. So there's no way they can do that part of it.
Yeah, the brain fluid is the last thing to come back. Right.
So it's the last
your body rehydrates, and that's the last thing to rehydrate.
And you done had your fight by then.
Yeah. But
you just saying. I mean, what you got next? What you got next?
I think we need to go to
Shakura's point is I wholeheartedly agree with you that people do have injuries and stuff like that affect them for life, like James Toney, but that's any boxer. Weight not even included. You step in that ring, you're subjecting yourself to that punishment. And that punishment
you should want to avoid. Like you saying, there are things that boxers
the only way to avoid it is to not step in that ring.
No, the way to avoid it is not fight people that are way over your weight class just because they can make weight the day of the fight.
Yeah.
And not be sparring people that are way bigger than you. And that's going to be a major thing. I hope not. I hope he checks himself and really gets his rest in between his next fight. But Jose Benavidez needs to rethink what he's doing right now. Because he's regularly sparring people that's way bigger than him. And then he's getting into these fights that are outside of his normal weight class, really. Because I think he's more like 154 pounder in that range. But at the same time, that's not a good idea to keep doing what he's doing.
Robbie
He's
Young was
proven
somebody
to
that
me that
hasn't
he can
fought in
hang.
2 years, though. I mean, there's a difference there.
No, he needs to fight more. He needs to fight more valuable
I mean, I
opponents at
wasn't
that
talking
weight.
about Charlo. I'm saying Jose Benavidez.
Junior, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not David, but Jose. We're talking about him
Junior,
in this
yeah.
case. But go ahead. I'm ready to hear your next rebuttal.
I think we
So
got to go to the comment.
go
right?
to the comment
All
now, Lucas, because this is my also my second part.
Steve Alexander says, I totally disagree. Why does it matter at the lower weights but not at a heavyweight? Everyone that Holyfield fought except Tyson outweighed him by at least 30 to 40 pounds, and he beat most of them. But it matters for a boxer going from 147 to 156. Yes, weight class, but go back to the original 8 to 10. Look, I'm going to say it like this. There's been weight divisions in the breakup for reasons for safety. Okay? The weight matters. It does matter. Whether we want to admit it or not. I think there's a point at the heavyweights you have to just say, right? There's a certain point where weight's going to actually start to become a disadvantage rather than an advantage, right? So
I mean, and think
obviously
about
you guys
when
are
they
part
came
of
up with heavyweights too. Just think about the Joe Lewises and
right. That's a
I mean,
cruiserweight now. Joe Louis is a cruiserweight at best now.
exactly. That was
So,
a heavyweight back then.
yeah,
Marciano. You know what I'm saying? Like these were
they have no
considered
chance
heavyweights.
against Tyson
They
Fury.
wasn't talking about no damn Tyson Fury and
No.
Wilder neither.
No.
They probably wasn't even
No
talking
chance.
about an AJ because he's up there at like 6'6" or 6'7". Well,
Right.
But you're talking
But
about
if you're
weight though.
saying
But I
weight
think
doesn't
right,
matter,
but it's
right?
weight and it's height and it like the weight comes like Fury. He can gain all that extra weight and it's gonna look a certain way on him, and people don't realize like that's almost like in some cases if he fights like Usyk, who came up from cruiserweight, it's gonna be like really almost 60 to 70 pounds if
it
he
is.
decides to come
It
in that
is.
night. If Fury decides to come in that night more at 300, that
So
is a huge difference between those two.
so
And
Hold on.
so why
but
does
what I'm
that not
saying
matter
is,
though?
I can
right?
but wait, all I'm saying is that history did not develop a heavyweight division was not created with larger heavyweights in mind back then, which is what we have today. That's all I'm saying.
So
and that's why the Bridger weight was moved in to kind of
Well,
add a little bit
why
more
y'all
on it. It's a
keep saying-
cushion.
I
Correct.
love
Cushion.
that they try to put the Bridger weight in there, but nobody gives a shit about the Bridger weight. They don't
You
even
don't
have
have
fights.
to care
They
about
don't
it
even
for it
have
to
fights.
matter, though. We're talking
They
about
don't
why
even
the weight
have
matters,
fights.
and they're
And
adding that
it's the boxing
because the
culture
weight
that's not
matters.
allowing it to be implemented. That's the boxing culture that's like, oh no, that's just another title. Well, guess what? If that's what's needed, that's what's needed. Won't you focus on the fact that if you fight a Bridgerweight and they both are actual Bridgerweights, you'll have a more competitive fight, and you as a fan will actually enjoy and have fun watching that fight more than you would if you have two fighters on opposite ends of a heavyweight division.
I mean, it
I
matters
guarantee
less at heavyweight for a reason. I mean, if you just look at Usyk, right?
Right, I
He's able to
guarantee you,
transition.
if
So it
Usyk
matters
was
a
a
little bit
Bridgerweight
less. Once you
champion,
hit a
you want to
certain
see him
weight,
fight Fury next.
once you hit a certain weight, it just matters a little bit less because you kind of start to equal out. You know what I mean? You hit kind of max humanity, if I like to call it. Max humanity. You max yourself out. But weight matters? Of course it fucking matters. Look, you got some nieces and nephews, I assume, right? I got some sons. If I get punched by my 8-year-old, it still hurts. But if I get punched by my 11-year-old who weighs a little bit more, a little bit bigger, guess what? That shit hurts a lot more, okay? But they have different capabilities. They got more weight behind those punches. There is difference in weight, okay? That's all it is. It's weight.
Lucas around here getting beat up by his kids, y'all.
I can also challenge you to that, to where, yeah, if I'm getting punched by my 8-year-old, that punch is gonna come a lot quicker than an 11-year-old. Okay, so I'm gonna be able to see. I'm not gonna see the 8-year-old punch, but the 11-year-old, I'm gonna be able to get away from.
I don't know about that.
So,
You know,
next time you come over, I'm gonna let them both slug you.
we haven't even talked about Navarrete, when is he gonna get to his actual weight? I'm not.
Like
I want to see him at his division.
We got a bunch of fighters out here right now that are beef jerky. Okay, they're nothing.
And I'm telling you,
I mean, they're taking advantage of the fact that they can get down to these lower weights and bully these real division, boxers. So they taking advantage of that, which is all good right now in our system, our current, boxing system. But my point is I'm ready to see him be competitive against someone that can actually, be competitive against him in a meaningful way. Robson, he surprised me. He actually did better than what was expected of him. And I'm thinking now, maybe that's because he was always draining himself down. And this is like his real weight class, that super featherweight division. But Navarrete is another one that's not really still in his actual division to me. But this is the example is it's not just happening on the heavier weights divisions, it's also happening at lower weight divisions also. So that's just my point on that one.
My immediate comeback and easiest comeback, and I usually agree with Mr. Alexander. I think we usually see eye to eye, but not with this case. Not with this case, Mr. Alexander. Says you're missing the point. Weight does matter. There's simply too many divisions. Nobody ever convinced me that 8 to 10 pounds that much difference. Cut the number of weight classes. Look, as I just said, the 8 to 10 pounds. Imagine it as just a mass, right? Drop it. See if it has damage. You take 2 weights, 2-pound weight. Drop it. See how much difference there is between 2 and 8 pounds on how far you drop that. There's a big difference, I'm sure. You're not going to want to get hit by that 8-pound one versus a 2-pound weight. But just overall, right? Boxers like David Benavidez, like Canelo, would not be draining themselves to beef jerky and damn near death. Because if it did not matter, you drain yourself to beat up the little guys, and they've been doing it. Look, the proof is in what I just said and the fact that they're doing it to begin with. You're doing it to take advantage of the weight class, to be able to beat people up and look good. Why do you think Canelo's been weighing 155 and made his own fucking weight class?
I mean, that was
disagree all you want, but people are dying. Cutting weight to do this.
I disagree with that, though.
Wow.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
I mean, I gotta say first, before you even go further, Rob,
go ahead.
Is the best. That's the best rebuttal I've heard on this.
It would be if it was true, but it's not true.
All my life, besides the actual.
They're moving up and down in weight class because the weight doesn't matter. They want the names. They want the name. No, if there's no name at 175, let's take the cruiserweight division for God's sake. Ain't nobody going to the cruiserweight division. They're going straight to heavyweight. Why? Because nobody's in that division.
What are you talking about? The best money maker in the world is that cruiserweight, baby. That's Jake Paul. He make more money. You fight him, you make way more money than anybody else.
I'm about to get in trouble because I'm being too loud. Y'all done made me too loud. Don't say that. Yeah, that's my point, people. Don't get it twisted.
Not the facts. Don't say they know. They some cruiserweights making money, but my point is that you can have. I mean, that doesn't mean that just because people are skipping over that division don't mean that they are not really needing to be at that division. And listen to my words carefully. Needing to be at that division, not wanting to, okay, not required to, but that doesn't mean that division isn't there for a reason. So we just gotta,
what it is is you're making an open excuse.
I mean, as a culture, as a boxing culture, we all need.
Andrade was not that talented. Going into this, we questioned his talents and his abilities because he didn't fight nobody. And now the excuse is he's way over his weight class.
I said he was way over his weight class last week. I've been saying that.
The bottom line is skill wise, he couldn't beat Benavidez. If he was way over his weight class, how'd he beat a 168-pounder before Benavidez?
Look, this is the Mayweather versus fucking Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson shit that you were talking about. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sorry. Mayweather is by far the best of this era. Do you understand that, right? I don't care how much he punches David Benavidez. He is not winning that fucking fight. He is getting wore down because he's tiny. You cannot do that. Weight classes matter, okay? And I understand what Mr. Alexander
saying. You put in something personal that we have outside of this discussion. When again, my argument is,
you said this on the show,
my argument is that there are too many weight classes. I don't want to take away from the fact that a 135 pounder can't fight a 154 pounder. That's obvious.
I'm saying there's
too many weight classes.
Drawn. Okay, there might be.
I actually love that example with Mayweather because Lucas, you know how to make Rob understand. I guess you speak Sakura and Rob.
What you mean? I told you from the beginning that
hit him in his heart. Argument. You know that, right? That whole example with Mayweather that hit him in his heart. He like, damn.
I didn't even say him fight Tyson. I mean, literally just 2 weight classes up, 3 weight classes up, what have you. He can't fight a David Benavidez and come out a winner. He can't fight a Golovkin and come out a winner. I honestly don't think that's a possibility. It's too big. There comes a point in everybody's career, right? And I think, Rob, you've said it even before that somebody's too big, right? It doesn't matter how skills he is. I agree with Mr. Alexander. Skills definitely play a part into it. But at some point, it don't matter. You could be the most skillful man in the world. But
and I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm not saying take away all the weight classes. I'm saying there's too many of them. With the same argument,
right? But you're also not providing an argument to say that there is no. Listen. You're not saying that those weight classes. You're not giving me an argument to say that those weight classes that are already established are incorrect. You have no basis, no statement on that at all. All you do is say it don't matter. That's not an argument, Rob.
For the same reason, why are they moving up and down in weight? For the same reason that you talking about Floyd, why did he move at 140 to 145 to 154 and win all the championships and titles and beat everybody in those 3 weight classes?
Okay, are you ready for my answer? Because you might listen. Okay, you take Cotto. You take David Benavidez, you take these guys, they drain themselves. They drain themselves early in their career when they're young, like David Benavidez is now. He's only 26 years old. When you get old, guess what? Your ass can't drain the weight like you used to. You are forced then to go up in weight to your actual motherfucking weight, but you should have been the entire time, okay? We've seen this, okay, with Canelo. He's had to weigh in. He was trying to make 154. The motherfucker couldn't do it no more. He made a division at 155. Then he moved up to 160. Guess what? He's still draining himself to make 160. He was been weighing in on the day of 168 almost every fucking fight. Now he's finally fighting at 168, and he actually has competition. He actually lost a fight. He tried to go up above that. That's what happens. When you finally go above what your goddamn natural weight is, you lose. And guess what?
I disagree.
There is not a decent fighter. There is not a decent fighter at that next higher weight that Canelo can beat. I'm going to say that. Better Biev, no champ up there that's worth a shit that Canelo will beat. And I wholeheartedly believe that, and he is one of the best of this current era. But it does not matter. Guess what? Because weight fucking matters.
And I disagree. It's not the weight, it's the skill. It's the skill.
It's a combination.
It's the skill with Evolve. It's the skill with Evolve. We can't say he can't be better.
You have not been able to.
He ain't gonna be better.
You know, I'm very open-minded. I'm willing to change my mind if I hear the right arguments. And tonight I'm gonna be the equalizer, like Power is. And I gotta go with the examples that Lucas gave over the reasons you gave. I'm sorry. This is where we at right now. Okay. It's like 5-1. Okay.
It's the same though. Same argument. You're arguing that those fighters are losing.
You said like a couple of them, and I was like, well, what's your next one? And each one of them were basically shot down with a counter perspective. Like,
because we can make the same argument because y'all are using the weight class in the weight as a
So,
reason why they're losing
answer
those
me this though.
fights.
Okay, I
And it's
got one
the
simple
skill.
question. Do you
It's
believe
the
there's a such?
skill.
Do you believe in a such thing as a weight bully? Do you believe there is a such thing as a weight bully?
At a certain weight class, yes, there can be. If you
Which
can,
weight classes?
but in my opinion, I don't see how you can be a weight bully if you can make the weight. If you
Okay,
can
but
make the
which
weight,
weight
you can take the
classes?
fight.
I mean, let's just carry this thought through. Which weight classes do you think that there actually can be weight bullies?
I don't like when Roy Jones Jr. moves up to heavyweight. I don't like those types of situations when Roy Jones moves up to heavyweight to face one fight and then moves back down just to prove he can do it.
Okay, but
That
what
sounds like something
weight
you
do
would
you
like
see
normally. That's what I'm
yourself
confused on.
that a weight bully? That's
I
meaning
mean,
somebody
period.
that
I
can
think
make the weight, but then balloons up the next night, and it's not a fair fight.
so. Then I'm sorry. You're
What
right.
division specifically do you see that happening?
You're right. I don't see there being a weight bully. If you can make the fight, if you can make the weight, you can fight.
Okay. So,
Okay.
quick question, a quick response here. So, you're telling me if I can drain 20, maybe even more pounds every night, blow back up those 20 pounds the very next day, you're telling me that's not a fucking weight bully? Is that what you're saying to me right now?
The drainage alone will even out the fight. Because you're draining yourself, you're not gonna be 100% fight night.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
You got a lot of energy. You got a lot of protein in your belly. I mean,
But also, you never gave like a what should the weights classes be. You're not.
I mean, according to what
you
you
gotta
said,
come with a
you
better
could have
argument, Rob.
Devontae Tank Davis fighting the Usyk.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
like
saying?
that's
Like,
kind of how
that's the
you
way
make
you're
it sound.
describing it to
What
me, and it
or
would be
what?
okay.
Floyd said it when he was up there. He said between 140 to 154, it don't matter. I can fight anybody at those three weights. I can make those three weights. It don't matter. Whoever I fight between 140 to 154.
I
Those
mean, he's
weights
saying that
don't matter.
because you only need to be under. You don't have to actually be at those weight classes. Like you don't have to be 154. You made the weight at 150. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't have to actually be like, let me go over 154. So I'm now in 154 class. You just only need to be within 10 pounds, either below. It can be anywhere within them 10 pounds, and you may weight.
Yep.
I mean, that's how it is in most states.
Ugh,
And Floyd could do it
So it's
and
easy to
win
skip from
though.
147 to
Floyd could
154.
weigh 140 and beat a 154 pounder.
Who?
Right, but that doesn't mean that he's
No, who?
actually at that
Canelo.
weight. Okay.
Canelo, he drained. We don't even count. He drained
Yes,
him. Why did he
that's
drain
the
him?
same argument that I'm making though.
Why did he drain
He
him?
fought a heavier Canelo, beat
Name
the crap out
somebody
of
else
him.
besides Canelo. Who else did he fight at 154?
No, but that it's kind of not the same because it's not similar. Like the experience was different. Canelo
You
was
saying
like
it's not the
brand
same?
new.
You saying it's not the same
I mean,
because
because
Canelo
it's
was a
not
heavier fighter
competitively the
and he
same.
lost.
And he drained him. He brought him down. That was not at 154. The only fight that was
That
not at
wasn't at his
154
catch weight,
was at
155.
Cotto.
That was at 147.
And that was definitely not Cotto's best weight. Okay.
I mean, I don't want to get into the Canelo situation because Lucas, I can't argue with Lucas on that because he knows every damn fight, how I was lost and won, all that. I'm not prepared research wise to go with him, toe to toe on this particular boxer. But what I'm saying is, if there's no weight bully, basically, you're saying a Devontae Tank Davis could fight an Usyk.
Or a Benavidez. I mean, we can go lower.
Y'all are stretching it now.
I chose Devontae because I know that's one of his people right there. That's his boy.
You're stretching it because Usyk will never get down to that weight. But if somehow medically, scientifically, it'd be amazing miracle if he did. But if he can get down to that weight,
Devontae Tank Davis going up and challenging, and being able to challenge and win and actually win, because that's a big caveat. You can fight anybody, but can you win against Usyk at 200 and
There's a
What
reason
is
why we
usually
put
at like
pound for pound
211,
labels on
212?
people.
Listen. There's a reason that heavyweights cap out. Okay, it caps out. There's a 40-pound difference. I would say. Usually a heavyweight can go from 220 to maybe like 267, somewhere around there. We'll just say 47 pounds, right? Now you take a 47-pound difference from like 100 to 147. You look at that. Look at those fighters, and you tell me that there is not a huge difference and that the weight matters. That ain't a fair fight, Rob.
You
You
picked
have
up
to
47
create.
pounds right there. I'm talking about these weight classes like we talked earlier that you
No, we're
only
talking
have
about
No,
the
but we were
heavyweight.
trying to just
5 pounds
establish
difference.
whether a weight bully is
Okay.
possible or not.
Yeah,
And you said no. So I gave you an example specifically of what could be a matchup if weight classes don't matter. And if there's no such thing as a weight bully. I mean, that's what I was getting at.
Now, I do think, and he's proved it, Tank can go all the way up to 145 and win against the
147.
biggest fighters at 145. Even
147.
You believe in
147.
weight
Yeah,
division?
147.
Well, 147 is the weight class, but you think he can go up and actually fight an Enos? You can think he can fight Crawford?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Maybe
I
we'll
just
see.
feel like you're basically
I doubt
making our point, like when you
doubt
say he can go up to 147, meaning he's maxed out probably at 150 if he tried to go to 154, which means that there is weight divisions cutoffs for a reason. So
I'm not saying that there's not cut off.
you know what
I
I'm saying?
never
hold on.
said that.
All right, look, I'm ending it because it's going too late, okay? But I'm gonna say this: I've told you guys in multiple fights, when you jump 2 weight classes, it never works out. We've seen it recently. We just saw it not that long ago, and we saw it with Mikey Garcia jumping up to fight Spence. It never works out, and it's for that reason. It's the weight. It's the weight.
You
It's
said
not the
that.
skills.
You really did
It's the
say
weight.
that. And now
Yeah, and I wish
believe
I
it.
could agree with you, but Mikey fucking sucked after he fought. He ain't win another fight after that.
Yeah, because he screwed up his body, dude.
Yeah.
You can't just
come
jump
on,
up
that's
and gain
an
all that
excuse.
damn weight and think you
It's
have
been
some
a-
natural fat.
It's been a great show, a long show. Thank y'all for sticking with us. I'm actually surprised we didn't get a lot more comments on the weight topic. Please keep adding them on. We will gladly respond to them. Thank y'all for tuning in. Tough Talk Tuesdays every 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Don't forget to tune in. We don't pull any punches. We'll see you next week.